Okay, I'm hoping people find me here. I'm trying this again because the audio was actually feeding back into my earbuds. I could hear myself talk, so I'm just going to wait a little bit, and hopefully, folks will find me here. So let me just head over to I YouTube. Oh, one person found me. Two people found me. Let's just wait a little bit longer to see if other people can find me because that actually worked. I thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to wait one more minute and then I'm just going to give it a go. There's two people who haven't come back. And I'm missing all my links from before, so I'm going to grab those as we give some time to folks. To join. And feel free to say hello in the chat to know that, so I can know that you are here if you're willing. Okay. Well, that's just how the universe works. So here we are, and thank you for being kind enough to show up to this live feed. The intention tonight literally is just to inspire, to share hope, to share inspiration, determination. It's the only reason I'm doing it is to really just give back. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience or some moments of experiences of difficulty that I have transcended throughout my life. Oh, there we go. Now we have 5 people. Welcome, folks. You're finding my new feed. I'm so sorry. My first feed had a little malfunction and oopsie, here we are in a new one. So I'm going to get started, and I was just going to talk about briefly how things are going to go. And so I'm just going to give a motivational talk. That's the only purpose of tonight, is really just to move people, hopefully to inspire people in some kind of way. And then after I'm done speaking, there'll be about 20 minutes, the talk, depending on how fast or slow I am. And then if you guys have any questions or comments, or you want to ask me something about life, I can certainly do my best to answer it live. And all you need to do is actually, if you're on a computer, at least you can see the little chat in the side there, or hi. And you can just put your question there, and I'll check by the end of the talk. And then I'll do a really short meditation at the end that will leave you feeling hopefully grounded and settled for bedtime, depending on where you're living. Maybe not bedtime if you're in the West Coast, but bedtime if you're in the East Coast. And so, all right, so I'm just going to get started. So I actually channeled this during a meditation this Sunday when I went up north. And because I'm not used to public speaking, I wanted to write some notes. So there'll be a bit of ad-libbing and just sharing of what I wrote over the weekend, as I was really just reflecting on the message that I was wanting to give. And I think I have a little creature behind me who wants to say hi to everybody. Oh, I have 2 creatures actually. So everyone, here is my daughter, and she is carrying my very patient Mr. Levine, my therapy cat, here. And okay, so they're going to be, I guess, my little sidekicks at the side here as I give this speech. So thank you for that, honey. Spontaneous moments happen. So, all right. So Thank you, Nisha. So yeah, so I channeled this speech for you guys tonight, and so I'm going to do my best to share it with you, and hopefully you can take uh, something away from this, and you can get the intention. And thank you for being patient with me. Okay, so I grew up really, 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 really scared of things, people, places, everything. I know that the perception out there is that we're born fearless. We're born for connection. We're wired for connection. And partly that's true. But for some reason, my own fearlessness did not deploy. So, like an airbag, malfunctioned, did not work. I was I was born a really fearful little child. I was born actually shortly after a major political upheaval in Quebec in the late 70s. I was actually born in the 80s, but there had been some major turmoil happening in the 70s in Quebec. So I grew up in a small rural village in the Lanaudière region of Quebec. And it was 99.9%. Please don't quote me on those mathematics. Not my forte, but pretty accurate, I would believe. 99.9% unilingual French speaking. So what does this mean? Well, for me, it meant that I was born into an environment where I was innately considered unwelcome just for existing. This is significant for all of us or any of us who are born into the world in any kind of situation where we are not welcome in some kind of way. This impacts everything. So what we're born into, come into as we're born, impacts how we are wired to perceive the world around us. So while we're all born pure and innocent, we do carry these strings of karma, for lack of a better word, really, around us that came from before we were born, during our births, and immediately after. So, in psychology, you can think family systems theory. For any of you who are familiar with that term, that's a way of working in counseling in psychology, where we look at the impact of the family system, the history of the family on the individual showing up with the significant issues presenting. Okay, so little Ali was very, very precocious and smiley. So I really was like, from all accounts, cute and smiley. I was a protector of insects and creatures. I remember running to my mom, crying as I had accidentally killed a caterpillar that I was handling in my backyard. I was fascinated by little animals and creatures, and this wanting to look after them. And this is my memory of my really first sense of deep grief over killing a little creature. And I can still remember the pain in my heart. Like, I think about it now, and it's like, I feel that. I can see it, and I can see the little caterpillar that I'd accidentally smushed, really just not intentionally. And I couldn't believe that something could just die like that, and that I could be responsible for that death. That was probably, my gosh, that was probably aged like 4, something like that. Okay. I remember the first sleepover I ever had, and I must have been about 5 or 6. It was really like right before kindergarten, I believe, at my friend's house just down the street, like a 2-minute walk. And I believe my mom wanted a break and was trying to encourage me to be more confident alone, as I had so much fear. I had extreme separation anxiety, and I was scared of people and strangers, and I would cling to her at all times. And my mom, God bless her soul, she's departed for many years. She passed away when I was 23. She could be an incredibly loving woman, but she also had a fierce side. She was very, 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 very filled with pain and trauma that she didn't get to completely resolve by the time I was born. And so, while I would cling to her, she was also maybe one of the people that I at times feared the most, but also a very beautiful soul. And I could see that. Anyway, so I wanted to be able to feel okay as well sleeping over at a friend's house, because most of us kind of want that, right? We want to be like have a play dates and maybe have a sleepover. It seems like just such a maybe like a cool thing. And it sounded so fun. So my mom dropped me off and spent some time there making sure I was okay and kind of felt it out, as some moms do and who are really attuned. And then she left. And well, when bedtime came around, all was okay until the lights were out. So the tradition in my home that I really have, one of my fond memories was, and I don't know how it started. I'm going to have to ask my dad. I don't know if he's one of my viewers here tonight. But one of the things that would happen before bedtime, as he would read me my bedtime books, was I would say, "See you later, alligator." And then he would repeat, or whoever was putting me to bed would repeat, "After a while, crocodile." And so I remember lying there at my friend's house wanting my mommy so bad. I would keep repeating to the little girl next to me who had school the next day, because she was like a year older and her sister was maybe 2, 3 years older. And I kept repeating, "See you later, alligator." And waiting to hear, "After a while, crocodile," which my young friend kindly kept doing about 50 times until she finally fell asleep from exhaustion. Her mom eventually heard me continuously saying, "See you later, alligator." And I just wanted to be home. I was so scared. So my mom, to the rescue, she got called and drove over and picked me up and brought me home. So they're another example of just, being really, really, really scared all the time, kind of wanting to do things, but feeling really fearful and just kind of needing my mom. And so fast forward to school years. My memories of kindergarten are one of tunnel vision. Um, I know how many of uh, I know how much of my universe was based on the eyes of fear, because so much of it is in this kind of tunnel vision memory. And I don't know if anybody in the audience right now has ever experienced what fear feels like when it's in your eyes. It's actually in your nervous system, but what happens is it impacts your eyes. And tunnel vision is like that. The first thing that it's the first thing that goes when we start feeling really anxious, kind of like now. No, I'm just joking. I'm not anxious. I'm excited. Well, the world around you, like visually, starts disappearing and becomes blurred or completely blacks out at the extreme. And you can only kind of fixate on a front and center person or object or thing, and then everything else just feels like it completely trails off. So, anyways, I remember the joy in running my hands through. This is a random memory. In the kindergarten, we had a box of like barley that was like piled in there. I don't know if that was like a thing from the 80s, but that I would just run my hands through this barley and then use this cup and scoop and drop it out and hear the beads kind of rustling around. And I would just keep doing that over and over and over and over again, not realizing innately I was going straight to the thing and the texture and the behavior that would help calm me down, because I was in this classroom and I was like, just bring me to my mom, bring me to my mom. I just didn't want to be there. Thinking about this right now, I'm like, maybe I should make a big barley table in my house right now. That would be kind of cool. I could just imagine myself running my hands through it. Anyways, I do remember, though, how good and safe I felt in nature with my pets outdoors. I know some of you here might relate to that. So, my sense of safety kind of came really only from there, to be honest. And I grew up on a small plot of land, about 2 yards, if that means anything to anybody. And but I was all around fields of corn and berries with forests and lots of creatures and places to explore. I wasn't allowed to go very far on my own, but I would kind of still have enough to go to go explore and poke around. And I absolutely delighted in these things. Finding and tasting the next plant was my odd living on the edge practice. So tasting little flowers and leaves and stuff like that, and really like just being kind of adventurous and silly and wondering, I wonder if this is edible. I don't recommend doing that anymore, especially with all the pesticides and stuff. But yeah, and luckily I never came across any mushrooms. Fun stuff. But anyhow, the point is like my safety, my sense of safety and being okay was really really limited. Wasn't safe around people. Home wasn't really that safe, and I won't get into all of those stories. It's a bit too much, but being outdoors was. And and in these moments of exploration and fun, my mind would be able to dream of the future. So when I felt this way, I was actually able to start envisioning things, and I saw visions of big things for myself. A vision of me in a big city. I saw towers, a cool New York style loft, husband. I didn't see what I was doing specifically for a living, but I felt it in my body. I felt it was like this pure excitement and an intoxicating vibration of empowerment, safety, and love when I was out in nature. And I remember having these visions often and coming back to them and really seeing them before going to bed. But by the time I was in grade 7, I'm skipping a whole chunk of time, but 7, I was about 12 years old. And I had been through many, 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 many moments of being bullied. I don't know if any of you guys have been bullied, but I was bullied. I often never knew that my friends were secretly making fun of me and laughing at me and not with me. Girls would insult my appearance or exclude me, and I really just never knew why. They would lie to teachers even. I remember this. Oh, it makes me sad just thinking of it. It's like cringe when I think of my little daughter and how that could happen, or my son. But anyways, kids would lie to the teachers saying I did something bad, and then like say a swear word or something, and I didn't. And then back then what they would do is they had like they would put these poster boards on the wall, and you would either have stars or unhappy faces, something like that, or like an X, and you were evaluated off of that. And anyways, it was like the wall of shame. The wall of shame. Yeah, it's horrible. Don't do that, right? So I would say get accused of doing things or whatever, and then I would get a big unhappy face on the wall of shame, posted for everyone to see and walk up to. So that, just even that, such a simple example of how easy it is to create harm to a child, and to a sensitive or empathic child, which I know all of you showing up here are most likely empathics, very sensitively tuned human beings. And then I'm jumping over stories here, but then came October 30th, 1995 in Canada, in Quebec. The absolute worst year to be an Anglophone in Quebec. And while I saw myself as an equal, I was born, I was raised in this village, in this province. The kids around me, all my best friends and all of their friends, suddenly started to gang up on and exclude me and even attack me when I would leave my home. So then even the outdoors became an unsafe place. The cool stickers I would collect and trade with them were requested back. Remember that when stickers were cool? We would go around with a little booklet and you would trade stickers. Yeah, they would come back and say, my mommy wants you to give the sticker back. I just was like, oh my gosh. So I learned between age 11 and 13, so around 10, 11 was when the referendum happened. And for those of you who are maybe in the audience who don't know what the referendum was, it was Quebec. I won't go into too much detail. It was the province of Quebec. Some political parties were wanting the province to separate from Canada to be their own country. Okay, and I won't go more into it. You can always look it up if you need to. But it really created a lot of division and confusion and hate between English, French, and anyone who was considered an outsider or different. And it caused a lot of pain for both the French and the English. So anyways, I learned between age 11 and 13 that it was unsafe to be seen as my authentic self. So being me meant that I was repulsive, I was not good enough, and I would be alone. So at all costs, this is unconscious, by the way. I'm not, planning this out as a little 12-year-old. This is unconscious, and this is what we all do. At all costs, I needed to hide my true self and become what others wanted, expected of me. And I really was, like, looking back now, I was such pure innocence and light. I wish I could show you guys a little picture of me. If I, get fancy with YouTube, I will, be able to pop up an image at one point, but I don't know how to do that today. Anyways, I was pure innocence and light, and I always believed in the best in everyone. I haven't changed that much, though I am a little disgruntled with age. And I have moments where I have forgotten that and I've come back to it. But I always believed from a very young age, even though the world was scary, I always believed in the best of everyone. So I never quite understood when I wasn't safe or wanted until it was thrown literally in my face by other kids or people or adults. And in particular, for me, it was girls. And in one terrible moment, I had multiple kids chasing me with their bicycles down my long gravel street. Scary boys I didn't know, throwing rocks and things towards my head until they caught up to me right in front of the driveway and spit in my face. I went through many moments of trying to call my friends down the street who I adored. Remember rotary phones? I had one of those. Well, maybe it was the push button one by that time, but still it was connected to like a wall. Okay. But I had many moments of trying to call my friends like I always had next door. We were all across, all in a row. And I adored them. I looked up to them. I was the youngest. And I would call and their mothers would pick up the phone and they would just tell me they're not home or they're sleeping. We're sorry. No, they're sleeping. And at a certain point, when someone's still asleep at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a problem. And so I came to understand that those were code words for they do not want to talk to you anymore. You are not welcome. And sadly, this was quite true. For a long time, I sat with no friends because I wasn't considered one of the tribe. And there was nothing I could do about it. I was born this way. I poured myself into my pets at this point. I had a little, and I always loved animals. We were always taking in rescues all the time. So many cats, so many birds and fish and dogs and creatures, and even had a lizard from a plant that we bought at shopping mall once that just kind of made home in my home. I had a Scottish Terrier. Her name was Sooner. And back then, we didn't know better. And she was an outdoor dog. So she would basically be tied to like a long running cord and she would run through the yard, and she had a little insulated dog house. And I guess because of that, she was a little snippy and unpredictable, but I loved her. And so I would just sit on the top of her doghouse and sing to her because sometimes she'd want to bite me. But I loved her and I knew her soul. And I would just sing songs to her. And, I had this other pet that I absolutely adored. Her name was Boots. She was my cat. And I would share my popsicles with her. She was a tuxedo. And she would just sit next to me on the porch when I was sad and I had none of my friends were like talking to me, and she'd just lick my popsicle and I lick my popsicle. She'd lick my popsicle. I would lick my popsicle. And so she was my best friend and she would follow me around everywhere. She was really like this brilliant little soul, special, special cat. And she would sleep with me every night. She was really my protector, and I loved her fluffy white tail and her little booty paws, and it just contrasted her black silver coat and her green eyes. And my deepest grief was the day that I discovered, with my friends who would be hot and cold with me, pick up sometimes, not pick up other times. Anyways, we were walking down the road near my house. I did not know where she was. She was missing for many days. And they were helping me to try to find her, but we found her. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell you guys that she had been killed and thrown on the side of the road in the ditch, right by my house, So close that we only found her way longer, because we never thought she would be that close. And we all knew in that moment that she had been killed by the man down the street, who at the time he was really out of his mind. He was a Hell's Angel and he really had it out for English people. And he had done something and thrown her little body next to my house. He was a dangerous, pain-filled human who probably had gone through similar experiences to me of being bullied and harmed and doing all these things, but he chose a different path. Somewhere along the line, he lost his sense of humanity and he became his pain. He became his pain and he created pain. I remember, I would buy Quebec flags, little Quebec emblem shirts, and I would start refusing to wear anything with a Canadian emblem, a maple leaf on it, because that was considered really, 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 really not acceptable amongst my peers. And it may have even worked at times, but my French friends would tell me not to speak a word of English, especially on St. John the Baptist Day. It's like the birthday, the anointed birthday of Quebec. And they told me if I did that, I would get attacked. So talk about fear. And all I knew was love and acceptance. Kind of inside me, there was this naivety, even though all this stuff had been happening. And because that's truly what I really, really, really always felt, for whatever reason. I never felt this division, which was being so clearly outlined to me. It made no sense to me. I just couldn't wrap my head around it at all. But the silver lining is that it led me to discovering my passion for singing, acting, and I know, kind of nerdy, but kind of cool, playing the clarinet. So from the age of 12 to 17, all I did was lock myself in my room and teach myself to sing, to act, to play clarinet until my voice was raw and my fingers were literally cramping. It was like all about music. I would listen and emulate any artist, and I would, and especially Tori Amos, my God, I was so into her back then, and memorize word for word plays and scripts that I would see on TV, such as John Leguizamo's Freak, one-man play. You guys got to Google it. So love that guy. So love his acting, his live acting. Anyways, I would do automatic writing, and I didn't even understand what that was. There was no internet back then, and if there was, it would take like probably 2 hours to load. And so that was it, I created my own safe place and outlet for all my feelings. And imagined the amazing life ahead of me once I was finished with high school, and to do that all in my bedroom. So the only thing is that not a single soul knew I was a quadruple threat. I'm giving myself that title. Not a triple threat, quadruple threat. I could sing, I could dance, I could act, and I could write. But I was terrified of being heard and seen. I wonder why. Are you getting the drift? of why this could happen, how we become who we are, how we develop fear. So my body would literally shake, my stomach would contort, and I would get the runs, sorry, TMI, and want to throw up at the slight idea of having to perform for anyone, even family members. I couldn't even perform for, my own mom, and if I thought someone was hearing me, I would just tense up. It was crippling. But people would overhear me, and whether I was playing in the practice room at school or at home, you could hear right through the mobile home walls. And, they would overhear me and be in awe and shock. They couldn't understand how I had this hidden talent and not be willing to share it with the world. I refused. I just couldn't. I was encouraged to audition for specialized schools of music, and which was a big deal. People were like, "Oh my God, we're discovering you." And I floundered. I floundered in the audition because I couldn't handle the vulnerability of being witnessed and heard. My soul was in my sound, and that felt dangerous. I did not and could not be exposed and feel safe. I didn't understand that back then. I just thought I'm defective. And I don't think people understood back then because nobody stopped to talk to me about it. They just kind of went like, "Oh," and like moved on with life. But I couldn't find my voice when I most needed it. How familiar is that? And I started to believe that I was a failure and that I had failed at school and my coach by not passing the audition. So I stopped playing shortly after this, and I didn't audition for college. I could have gone into music for college, and damn, I should have. I didn't. It was too scary. I couldn't do it. It was like absolutely no way, door closed. And I remember the first time I was able to push through my deep fear of being seen, finally, and I auditioned. This was before I graduated, for my high school play. They were doing a part. They were looking for the part of Gooch. This will probably be over most of you guys' head, but there's this vintage play called Anime, and Gooch is the secondary lead to the play. So the kids in the audition room were talking over me as I was trying to audition. This is like a typical behavior because I don't think I was really taken that seriously because I was so shy and I didn't speak up for myself, and I wasn't really valued as a cool kid. But the director, everyone was such powerful and great intensity. I remember it was just like the silence that happened there. And I continued to read my lines. And I could see and feel clearly that she was looking intently at me and was seeing something that was shocking and intriguing her. And so this moment landed me as the co-star of the play. A kid who never took drama before. I had been hiding my superpowers, only acting and singing by myself in my room and in the forests to my dog. And I explored for years, too terrified to be seen. All of these different things, the singing and the dancing. But the beautiful part of this role, which is kind of funny, looking back, I didn't understand back then, is that this character, this Gooch, Agnes Gooch, was all about a transformation. She was a dictaphone typewriting secretary who ends up winning the man and coming into herself. So kind of cool, like foreshadowing for me anyways. Many, 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 many years though. So this role led me to being asked to sing on stage and at school, at the school variety show. And I had for years visualized doing this. I would always visualize. I'd see myself on stage. I'd see myself doing the thing. I saw myself doing this. But I was too horrified and scared to do it. I pushed myself and shocked the audience. I slowly was allowing myself to be seen. I don't fully know what happened there, but I can really start guessing. It was kind of a bit of apathy who started to show up because I was so traumatized. Sad. I shouldn't laugh, but it's, it still felt really, really hard and scary, but each time I did it and I faced my fear, I would feel an incredible rush of energy. And the moment I started, I would be in the zone, in the flow. But leading up to the thing, ah, so hard, so scary. I was so sick. Anyways, fast forward a year, and then by then I was then asked to be featured on a show for YTV in Canada. It used to be called Yeah to the Max, Top Talent Under 18. And I auditioned to study dance. Actually, I mustered up the courage to audition for the dance department at Concordia University. And then I was competing in dance competitions all over the USA. So I was still scared, but I persisted. I had figured out that all the bullying and the pain from my past was leverage for what I was doing now. And I decided that if I was in fact not welcome, that I would carve my own way and do my own thing as the loner. And so I would show up, I would show all these people from the past that I was the bomb, talented, C-level famous, capable, badass, resilient, and unstoppable. And in theory, that was really, really, really great. One problem with this is that it was an ego defense to protect me from the pain of my past. Shoot, right? Shoot. Okay. So what happens when we adopt traits and behaviors to compensate for the pain of the past? It is us living inauthentically. We are living from our strategic selves. And well, that's okay because it became part of the most important healing journey of my life. So I needed to go through this. And I thought the worst was over, but attach your hats, folks. Attache tes trucs. That was it would say in French. Attache tes trucs. And it had not even started yet. Oh, I won't even get into all of the pain that the next 24 years of my life involved tonight, but I will impart on you the following questions to journal about to help you save years of pain that I went through. So anyone who's even listening to this after the fact, grab a pen or type on your computer, open up your notepad. I want to save you years of pain. You see, if I could have known earlier through guidance that there is an easier way to grow and learn lessons, that it doesn't have to be so traumatic, I would have saved myself a lot of suffering. The simple truth is, face your fear. Do not change yourself for anyone. Do not prove yourself for anyone. Do not give up on yourself and what your dreams are for family, for friends, for religion, for faith, for anyone. Your life purpose is, I believe, okay, I don't want to impart my beliefs on you, but my belief that our life purpose is to return to a state of love, to return to who you really are on the soul level when you come into this world. And I can guarantee you that who you are does not include any negative traits or behaviors and reactions within yourself. Those are all ego defenses that falsely keep us away from our true selves and reinforce the negative belief that we must be unsafe and be anything but our true selves, because our true selves has been hurt over and over and over and over and over and over and over in the past. Or, one really big time. So we need to return to who that was before we experienced the fear. And so the moment I lost everything in my life, my marriage, my money, my self-respect, my joy, my peace, so around age 32, was the moment that it all started to shift. So the dark night of the soul. So most people I meet in service as a counselor are the people going through the dark night of the soul. They don't know it. Some do, most don't. The dark night of the soul. I had to face my shadow. And she was very dense and scary at that point. You see, I had carved out an entire identity in life around my shadow and my ego. I had unconsciously picked a path that wasn't bad, but it was more of a reflection of my own deep-seated fears and limitations. So my intentions were all related to how I can feel safe. I didn't know this was what this was a really, 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 really integrated part of who I was and how I was living. So it took having my own Great Depression to slowly start finding little Allie again. And, that journey, by the way, included a lot of therapy. I was very, 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 very invested with, I wasn't even making money. I scrounged to have therapy all the time and do group therapy. So the group therapy was incredible, group workshops through an incredible place that I ended up actually getting my therapy credentials from, originally called ClearMind. So they really changed my life, ClearMind International, because they allowed me to have share my pain, not in isolation, but in connection. That story's for another day, but I have to thank you to Dwayne and Catherine O'Kane, the founders of ClearMind, and all of their staff who were in the program at the time, who supported me. And they really, really saved my life. So the moment I started aligning myself to what do I have to offer? How can I help others? Everything changed. I went from feeling like the former me, the ego me, was like, what can I get? Will I be loved? To what am I offering? What am I giving? Like here tonight, what am I giving? The only reason I'm able to talk to you tonight and not pass out is because I'm really trying to share from my heart. I have no expectation but to create change and good. Okay, so when I look back at all of the awards, the published works, the moments of attention and acclaim, they're all cool, but not at all what I feel most proud about at all. I don't think about them. I don't talk about them even. I won't even get into them tonight. Okay. What I am most proud about are the many private moments where clients I have supported as a therapist have said, thank you. I have never felt seen, heard, cared for, and supported in this way. Because of you, I can make change in my life. That's so important. That is really, 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 really what started to change everything for me. And I know that if you make positive change in your life, if people make change in their life, and start seeing things from this lens of what can they offer, what can they give, what is this for? It's like a ripple of waves. It impacts their whole family unit and so on and so forth. Wow. Wow. Envision this. All of the waves of impact, of change you can make, even if it's just how kind you are to the cranky clerk at the cash register. So instead of responding in disdain and an annoyance and how dare you energy, like just offer some kind words like, I love your shirt, and it's a hard day, tomorrow will be better, like whatever it is, or crack a joke. So imagine the waves, the ripples of what you can give to others energetically through this. It's really, really incredible. It's really incredible. And it makes me think of one of my favorite movies, actually. Many years ago, there was this movie. Maybe some of you have seen it. If not, please rent it. Please rent it. It's so uplifting. Caveat, there's a really sad part, okay, at the end, but it's bittersweet. Okay, it's bittersweet. So anyways, it's called Pay It Forward. And it was starring Haley Joel Osment, who was a big child star at the time, Kevin Spacey, and Helen Hunt. Anyways, please watch that movie. And if you've watched it, you know what I'm referring to, the ripple waves of the difference in the change you can make by paying it forward, by doing an act of kindness. So whatever you're doing in your life, are you doing it to receive, or are you doing it because it gives to others? If you feel energized by your life, you may very well be living in your purpose and from these paradigms. But if you feel drained, it's time to pause and reevaluate. So we need to stop caring about what other people think. Okay, let me reframe that. We need to stop limiting what we do based on what we think other people think. So we need to be fully ourselves, even though it's scary as bleep. And when we face our fears over and over and over, we grow and expand. And when we hide and defend and pretend, we stay stuck. So if you took out a pen and paper or your notepad earlier, and then I rambled and you may have forgotten, I do that, write the following questions down. Or come back to the video at 46 minutes and 11 seconds and write these questions down, okay? So who am I in 3 words? So who am I? Like who is you? Not who am I? Who are you? And if this feels hard to answer for those of you who have a lot of trauma and it's hard for you to have a clear sense of identity, okay? Frame it as this, okay? Frame the question as, how would my friendliest connection describe me? What 3 things make me the most happy presently or in the past? What 3 things make me the most happy presently or in the past? So fond memories. Do I feel drained by the people and the things in my life, or do I feel uplifted? So something to contemplate. And then list the things that drain you, but finish with listing the things that uplift you. It can be really, really simple things like looking out the window and seeing a sunny day. If you're in a low energy state, you must do everything in your power to surround yourself by new, good, and positive things. This is the ground zero rehab for your life. From the small things to the big things. So another question for you to write down and to think about, and I'll talk about it in future talks, which will be a lot more brief because I'll start on time, is how do you start your day? And then how do you end your day? Another question is, what is your biggest regret in life? What is your biggest source of pride? What is one new behavior that you can add to your morning or your week? And what is one behavior that you can commit to stop doing this week? So the best way to get out of our automatic pilot, which is probably including a lot of fear, blame, and shame, and all the ego stuff I talked about earlier, because there's very few of us on this earth who have not gone through many, many moments of pain. Okay. So the best way to get out of our automatic pilot is to do something new, whether it be brush your teeth with a different hand, or to try a new hobby, or to drive a different route to work each day, or something like that, or walk a new route. Do something new. Do something scary. Me being here is the scariest thing, believe me, that I have been avoiding for years. You have no idea. Hence the rambling. I can't tell you how many times I have felt deeply called to communicate with groups of people on a deep intuitive level, but have avoided it like a cat in a bathtub. My wounding is bracing itself for the bullies. I would stop myself all the time through all these years, in doing things and talking to the public. I'd be so full of fear, even though I really wanted to do it, because I'd be scared of all the naysayers or comments, or you're not smart enough, or you're not good enough, or that's not correct actually. And you know what? I don't care anymore because I'm here to help you. Okay. And so that's all very deeply wired in me due to my life experiences. And I'm sure some of you listening really um, can really, really, really relate to that. However, um, I now know that the bullies are just hurting. They're hurt people. And who I am should not change because of anyone or anything ever. Period. Final. One life to live, the end. So I have one really, really short last story. And then if anyone has questions, I can't even see the chat right now because I am looking at my notes. I will take a look and I'd be more than happy to maybe answer some kind of question about yourself or your own struggle, just, keeping in mind confidentiality and all of that. But maybe you have a question that you believe other people could benefit from. And I'll grab that in a minute and look. And then we'll end with a very, very short meditation just to uplift you. Okay. So my last story for you all is, so I'm terrified because I'm scared a lot, terrified of hills, terrified of chairlifts. So ski chairlifts, snowboard chairlifts. I didn't grow up playing sports or skiing or snowboarding. And well, guess what? I've started snowboarding. I'm 41 years old. Bleep, bleep, bleep. And delete that out of the video. Just joking. I'm 41 years old and I'm falling a lot and I am terrified, but I'm doing it. I just started literally this month, actually, or last month I started. On the weekends, I go with my kids. And you know what is cool? I feel so proud and strong and resilient at the end because I face my biggest fear, which is falling headfirst down a hill. And I do fall headfirst down a hill. And I fall each and every time I get off the bloody chairlift. Every time. Every time. But I don't care because I won't be stopped by fear. And I'm getting better and better each time that I push past my limits. It's practice. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe I'll be the oldest person to go to the Olympics in snowboarding. Or maybe it's just okay to be quietly proud that I can make it down the hill with my kids far ahead of me in the distance on their skis so that I can see their smiling faces as I crash and get up over and over again. Okay. So thank you for listening to that talk. And so hopefully some of you listening and those of you who will listen, many days after this has been posted or down the road, future use can really take away a message of hope in this and to not allow your trauma and your pain to stop you. Get the support that you need to process it because there could be impact in your nervous system. Get proper somatic psychotherapy support to work on that. However, please don't ever limit yourself or label yourself because you can achieve anything you want if you keep learning and getting the support to face your fears. And doing that involves doing different things and trying new things. Even again, if it's using, brushing your teeth with a different hand, it's the start. It actually changes the neuroplasticity in your head, in your brain. Your neuroplasticity is in your brain. Yeah. Boop. So, I don't think there's any questions in the chat unless somebody feels like asking something. Yeah, so I'm just reading some of the comments right now. Yeah, Mr. Libeen. Hi, Tracy. Yeah. Garfield, love you. Yeah, so you are so brave. Thank you for vulnerability. This is incredible and so relatable. Yeah. Someone says, I have severe implicit somatic patterns, which create hypervigilance. Yeah. I look for danger and fear in places where it does not exist. Yes, I get that. Oh, I so get that. Yes. How do you acknowledge your triggers and behavioral patterns? Okay. So I think what you're asking is, how do I start acknowledging, slowing down, and acknowledging my triggers and behavioral patterns? Is that about right? Just say a yes or a no in the chat. Just want to make sure I'm understanding your question because I have an answer for that. So how do you start? Yeah, okay. So how do you start acknowledging your triggers and behavioral patterns? So if you have the luxury of being able to be with a therapist, it's going to be a lot easier. But if not, I can post some books on my website, AllisonCordner.com. It is therapy bookshelf, and there will be some books on how to reframe that. But for those of you who feel like you can start doing this, so one of the things the person says they have two. Awesome, lucky person. So 2 therapists. Okay, so you ask them to help you to start acknowledging. You need to start noticing what happens in your body right before you get triggered. So before you go kablooey, whatever that looks like, it could be running away or freezing or attacking, or it can be a number of things: fight, flight, freeze, and or fawn, which is a new one that they're trying to understand. So slowly try to notice what happens in the body before leading up to that thing, and get help, or do some reading, or ask the therapist to teach you how to self-regulate, calm your body and your nervous system. And so there's a lot of different somatic practices that work. A lot of them are actually taken or appropriated from different ancient cultures. And a lot of them involve the breath or the body or vocal toning. So one of my favorite ones, which for some people brings up a lot, so it can be like, can sometimes not be a little bit triggering, but for the most part, most people do say, whoa, I feel something different. So it's called vocal toning using a VU. It is similar to what you would hear in Om, in say different practices of yoga or meditation, but we take out the spiritual aspect in therapy and we just make it a neutral VU, which is still very powerful. And so you would breathe in, for example, and obviously you would be separating yourself from the trigger at this point and not VUing in front of them. But I'm just trying to give like a kind of an example. You would breathe in. So what if the breath is triggering? I'll answer that after. I'm going to give you another one. So you're going to breathe in really deeply and slowly on your own in a safe place. And then on the exhale, you're going to make a VU tone. And you're going to do that one more time. And it's a very, very gentle. You're just breathing in because you want to fill up your air in your lungs. Because when we're anxious, we actually, trauma response is that most people who go into aggression or have these trauma reactions where they freeze and stuff like that, they've actually stopped breathing. So even though the breath is triggering, you got to breathe. You got to breathe. I'm sorry, you got to breathe. It's going to be triggering if you don't breathe too. So you got to breathe. It's not about doing deep breath work. It's just about doing a little breath. And what this does is magic, kind of. It's science too. So the reverberation, so the tone of that VU reverberates all the way down the vagus nerve, which really controls whether you're reacting or not. It's connected to the trauma. I'm trying to explain it in a way that's not too complicated. The nerve runs all the way down your body through your intestinal tract and your stomach. And when we make this tone, it sends a signal to the brain. It's okay, chill out, everything is okay, we're safe. So what people notice when they do this and they get used to doing it, is they feel like either some tears come up, and then they feel better, or it's like they feel like a opening. There's an expansion that happens in the nervous system, which means it's like, it's almost like you're coming back to life. When we're in a fear state and before leading up to a trigger, we're collapsed. We're actually in what we call in trauma work contraction. Everything is tight. We don't even realize it. And this is why noticing what happens in your body before the trigger is super important. Because when we do tense up, it sends a signal to the brain that reinforces, I'm in extreme danger, get away. There's a lion, there's a tiger, there's danger. When the reality most of the time is that there is no tiger in the room, but the thing that's happening feels like the tiger, and your trauma that's stored in the nervous system and around that nerve that's not very, very well flexed and toned because of it is reacting based on something that happened in the past that's no longer happening now. It does not understand time. And so that would be one exercise. And if you really just don't like the breath, for some people, they have to work their way up to that. But I really, 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 really encourage you to get support to get to the VU. It's amazing. You can do different things like you want to just move your body. Moving your body will help you to get out of the state. You can even self-soothe by bringing pressure and containment. A lot of people who have a lot of fear and anxiety feel like really out of control. And so the best thing to do when you feel out of control, you think of a little child, you hold them in your arms. And so you bring in this supportive arm around the body, and you can put the other one around if you want, and just gently, gently breathe and feel the impact of just bringing in containment, structure, a nice container to that anxiety happening in the body. So another video can go on and on and on about all kinds of different ways. But if you can move your body, look around, use your eyes, we need to send a signal to the body to say, it's okay, we're not in danger. I do block therapy work, which works with the fascia. Yes. So fascia stores a lot of trauma. So fascia work is really, really important. We even have fascia in our forehead, believe it or not. And our big, 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 big trauma fascia is in our stomach. That's why it's like that part of the body is so much more sensitive. We need to work our way towards that because that's where the big trauma is stored. I cannot do the breath work required with it yet. Use the word even in your head, yet. So it's about, in trauma work, it's about, here's a fancy science word that you guys might know from high school. I didn't get to take science because I was really bad at math, so they didn't let me. But the word titration in trauma work, it's about, and in doing any of these things and facing your fear from a trauma perspective, no longer the more metaphysical kind of like coaching perspective. From the trauma perspective, titration, sprinkling in very gently and slowly over time, exposing ourselves just a little teeny bit at a time and seeing how it goes with a proper trauma therapist who knows how to do that, to not go too fast. And it's okay. Accidents happen. Sometimes we go too fast into our fear and kablooey. But it's okay because we've survived. We are survivors. Yes. And we can do it and we can come back and try again. But it's just a little bit at a time so that your brain and your body, your nervous system can actually adjust to it. So that's why it's just about gently moving towards that. Yeah, the window of tolerance. You've got it. Bing, bing, bing. Yes. And, the thing too, right, is it's a lot of it is also mindset. So there's so much truth to mindset. Follow anything you can positive on social media that talks about abundance and mindset. So helpful and true. And a great compliment to therapy and psychology. It's like, if we anticipate in our heads leading up that we will fail or something is dangerous and not good, you've just co-created a disaster. And this is another thing I want to talk about in another talk, is the sad and hard truth is, for all of us traumatized individuals, which is basically the whole earth, some of us more so than others, um, oftentimes we end up being empathic. And to me, what empathic means is that you're born very, very, very sensitive. And a lot of the times that comes through surviving and going through really, really challenging traumatic experiences and neglect as a child. And you become, as a result of that, your nervous system, your body becomes super fine tuned to everything extrasensory. And it had to do that to survive. And think of a little rabbit in the wood. It hears a little, its ears go up and it go bump, 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 and alerts all the other rabbits in the forest. We are just like animals. And so we develop these really fine-tuned abilities to sense danger, and that gets stuck on and that's not good. So what happens is we anticipate fear, we actually attract fear. We are co-creating fear. So getting a handle on the fear and the mindset is super important through really good help, or if you don't have access to help, um, I can find some resources for you guys out there. There is some affordable options out there. I could try to get you help. But, if we think with our fear, we attract fear. And unfortunately, people who are not so kind and don't have a good heart because their pain has made them perpetrators, look for people like that. And they look for people, they can sense the fear because you hold it in your body. So they know what to look for energetically and physically. And you can end up being harmed over and over and over. So really addressing those things and the fear and the mindset to feel empowered and to start walking through the world like, I've got this, is so important. So don't spend all your therapy hours talking about the pain. You need to talk about moving forward. We need to look at what's the new experience that I don't have now. How can we create that in therapy? Or think of little tiny moments in the past where you did have them, those aha moments where you just felt really great, like moments where I got, that I was talking about, where I felt empowered because I was on stage and I finally did it. Using those to anchor those into what does that feel like in my body, and to start replicating those and practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing and aligning towards positive things as much as possible, because it's gonna take hundreds of practices to get to it, because we're recreating the pathways in the brain. We're trying to narrow down the pathways of trauma and where fear and shame live, and we're trying to broaden or thicken and deepen the pathways to resilience and hope and love and connection. And it takes time. Titration, sprinkling in. Okay. Yeah. So I'm helping you to touch the peace under the sadness. Yes. Okay. So I've kept you over 8 minutes. So I think I'm going to welcome you all to do a very, 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 very short itsy bitsy meditation if you're wanting to. And so for those of you who have a lot of trauma, meditation can seem a little bit intimidating and scary. And this is not one of those scary ones, but slowing down sometimes is. So you don't have to close your eyes. You can just kind of let your eyes kind of go blurry by staring at something. And, that's kind of funny too. And so that's all you need to do if that's what you're comfortable with. And it's better to just kind of sit up and really just feel that your nice tall spine. You can lean against something if you have some kind of physical disability or injury, but just try to be up. Okay. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes or stare at a single point. You're going to take a deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. And keep breathing in and out. And now you're going to imagine with each breath in and out that there's a benevolent, golden elixir of light, pure, 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 pure happiness and joy and peace in that light, coming in through the top of your head and traveling all the way down to the bottom of your toes. And with every exhale, you're blowing out green stardust. And you're envisioning that green stardust is just all of the fears and the burdens and the things that are holding you back from today. And you're releasing them out into the universe. And then they're turning into gold, elixir, replenishing light coming in through the head, all the way down through the forehead, the jaw, the ears, and the neck, and the shoulders, and the heart, the lungs, and the belly, and the root, and the boutre, and the legs, and the feet, and your arms, and your hands, and your fingers, and your toes. Golden elixir just coming in and out with the green sparkly dust. Everything that you do not need anymore. All the connections that you've had throughout the day that you can just cut and let free. Just breathing out. In and out. And then you're going to allow yourself to keep breathing in that golden elixir through the head. And then you're going to imagine that you're so filled with the golden, pure light, benevolent light, that you're going to breathe it out. And with each breath, that benevolent golden light spreads. And you're going to imagine it spreading to your family, to your loved ones, sending them that light, that healing, protective, benevolent light. In and out. And then you're going to imagine it not only spreading to your family, your loved ones, but into your community. In and out. And then with the next exhale, you're going to imagine that you're spreading that golden, benevolent, protective light out past the communities and throughout the whole world. Just seeing the trails of gold sprinkling around the globe. With each breath, replenishing more golden light within yourself and then just spreading it across the globe. Watching it travel and like little ripples and waves of love, kindness, forgiveness, confidence. All these good things, spreading it through the world, helping it to heal. As you heal yourself, you heal others. And just remember that with each act of kindness in a day, you create a ripple effect that impacts the entire world. So just take that knowing with you. And then on that note, I welcome you to reconnect with the space around you. Just feel your seat underneath you. Take a little glance around. Allow a little smile. Wipe your tears if you had any. And just know that you've made a difference. Just in this act of being part of this meditation, you've made a difference. And so on that, I wish you all a beautiful good night. And thank you for being part of my journey at facing one of my biggest fears, which is doing one of these YouTubes. Yeah. So you get to be part of that special moment with me tonight, and all the people, joining and watching this, future yous. Thank you. 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 I wish you a very good night and good luck on paying it forward. If you feel like this talk was inspiring in any way, please subscribe. At the top, there's like a button somewhere. You can subscribe and you can like the post. You can also share it. And I also there is absolutely no pressure, but I'm trying to have a practice of this. And at one point, I will have some causes that I will be creating donations from, but I'm going to put, for anyone interested today or future selves, there's a little donation button. If you appreciated this talk, there's no small amount, even $1 goes somewhere. And it helps me in this case continue to offer sliding scale to as many people as I can, which is a big part of my practice at Speakeasy Counseling. Both my associates, therapists also offer sliding scale. So this just, again, it helps to keep the business afloat. And so any donations appreciated, but not at all expected. And so if there's any cool or really moving, interesting, causes that come up, I will do the same and let you guys know what the donation of the night will go to. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, the guest that said, thank you so much for bravely sharing and spreading your golden light. Thank you very, very much for adding to my light tonight. And I hope to do this once a week, but maybe that's very ambitious. I'm going to try to get some practice by doing that. But I think I'll be moving them to Tuesdays because my favorite YouTuber, actually, Michael Sandler, streamed the same night. I got my date mixed up. So I miss my favorite YouTuber to be a YouTuber. But go definitely check out his channel. His name is Michael Sandler, and he is all about uplifting everybody and your soul and your energy, and all of that is really, really beautiful. And if you're into that stuff and into angels and all those kinds of discussions, he is really, 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 really special. And he actually was the person that inspired me to do this talk tonight and to be creating this page and building it up. So thank you so much. And with every with every subscription, it allows me to spread the word more. And once I get to 1,000 followers, I'm actually able to unlock all kinds of different features like subscriptions and all kinds of stuff to make it more interactive and fun. And so the more sharing is caring. Okay, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you again. And I hope I didn't keep you up so late. Thank you for being there, and I really appreciate you, okay? I'm going to end this now. Bye-bye.